There was an evening when my son was sitting at the dining table with his homework open in front of him. The pencil was in his hand. Every few minutes, he'd write a word or two, then go back to staring at the page. Nothing was really happening. And it had been that way long enough that my patience was starting to run thin. If you are a parent, you have probably had this thought too. It came to me before I even realized it. How do I make him study? At that moment, it felt like the only question to ask, but it wasn't the right one. It's such a familiar question that we rarely stop to examine it. It doesn't even feel like a question, it feels like common sense. After a while, that's what parenting becomes, a search. What's the better method, the better technique, the better way to make my child behave differently? And before we even realize it, that is all we are looking for. For a long time, I thought that was what good parenting looked like, staying one step ahead, always ready with the next correction. But that evening, something in me hesitated. Instead of reminding him a third or fourth time, I sat down beside him and just talked to him about his badminton class, about some show he had been watching on Netflix, nothing about the homework at all. And slowly, without me pushing for it, he opened up and told me what was going on. A few days earlier, there had been a surprise test at school. He hadn't done well, and some friends had teased him about it. He did not actually say all of this. Children rarely do. But I sat there listening. I slowly began putting the pieces together. Somewhere along the way, he had decided something. I don't want to feel that again. The real problem was not the homework at all. It was what he had started believing about himself, and I could not correct that with a firmer voice. Behavior is usually where a story ends, not where it begins. I think of a friend's daughter who suddenly stopped going for the dance class she used to love. For weeks, everyone assumed she had simply lost interest. It was only much later that it came out. A senior at the class had mocked her in front of the others once, and that made her decide she never wanted to go back. A neighbor once told me, "My son has become so rude lately." Maybe, but I could not help wondering whether something had happened before that. Maybe the constant comparisons with his cousin, maybe something else entirely. Whatever it was, I doubted the story had begun with the rudeness. A teacher I know once described a boy who kept disturbing her class, always talking, always distracting the others, always the name she had to call out. It would have been easy to write him off as simply difficult. But if you came in early before the class began, you would have found him quietly watching a beetle on the windowsill, tapping some private rhythm on his desk, talking softly to himself about nothing in particular. He was not ignoring the class, he was just noticing too much all at once, more than a 9-year-old could sit still with. Different children, different homes, different classrooms, but the same pattern every time. Something happens first. By the time it reaches us as silence or rudeness or disruption, it's already passed through a child who didn't know how to explain what they were feeling. And it is not just people I happen to know. A child who suddenly does not want to go to school anymore. A teenager who has started slamming her bedroom door over nothing. A little girl who has gone quiet in class when she never used to be. A boy who just seems angry all the time at everyone for no reason anyone can point to. From the outside, these look like different children with different problems. But I wonder more and more if they are all quietly asking the same thing. Can somebody see what happened before this? Children are not asking us to approve of their behavior. They are asking us to understand it. And that sounds like a small difference, but it changes everything. Children rarely ask for help with words, mostly because they don't have the words yet, so they ask in the only way they do have. Sometimes that's silence, sometimes it's a slammed door, or an answer they refuse to give, or an anger that seems to come from nowhere. Behavior is loud, and the story underneath it is quiet. Maybe that's because behavior never comes alone. The moment we see it, our minds race ahead. Homework becomes exams, exams become college, college becomes career, One difficult evening suddenly feels like a prediction of an entire life. And before we have even understood today's behavior, we are already worrying about tomorrow. And by then, the child in front of us has quietly disappeared from you. Stories don't shout, they wait, and that's why they are so easy to miss. None of this means a child's behavior should simply be excused. Children still need boundaries and structure and correction. I'm not suggesting we go soft on any of that. But I've rarely regretted waiting 5 more minutes before correcting my son. I've often regretted correcting him 5 minutes too early. What can't wait is the noticing. I've started to think this might be one habit worth building underneath every other piece of advice anyone will ever give a parent. Just a pause. In the moment right before you react, long enough to ask one honest question. What am I not seeing yet? It's not why won't he study or why is she behaving like this? It's simpler than that. What am I missing right now in the story I think I already understand? So this week, don't try to become a better parent. The next time your child's behavior immediately makes you want to correct them, pause for just a moment before you speak. Don't ask yourself whether you should correct them. Ask yourself what you might not be seeing yet. You don't have to answer it. You don't have to change anything. Just notice.